Hello YouTube, I'm George and this is the Happy Chronicles. So today we're going to be discussing the fact that I have 960 miles on old e-bike Bob and those brake pads are shot to hell. That's the view of the front brake pads off of e-bike Bob at 960 miles. Now considering this bike with me on it weighs about, let's see, I'm 170 pounds and the bike's about 100 pounds actually with the trunk and everything on it. So that's 270 pounds on average. I set my bike for 15 miles an hour with pedal rate, okay? So I am pedaling and the bike is maintaining a 15 mile an hour at level 5 on my KBO Tornado. So for that, I'm thinking these are the original pads, came with the bike. They went quite some time. I actually was kind of curious because I've made several adjustments and I'm going to go over that with you on the bike. It's not that hard to replace these and it's not hard to adjust. And there are some intricate little things that, you know, if you have a brand new bike, you're going to have cable stretch and I'm going to walk you through that too. This is kind of a tutorial video. These little itty bitty brake pads that stop this huge bike, okay? I've been a rim brake person forever and I still am. However, the disc brakes are more common and, you know, for those of you that have never replaced pads, it's super duper easy. Anybody can do it. And also when you're trying to adjust your pads as they wear, because they do. And you've also got the squealy factor. Let me tell you, since day one of my biggest complaints on my KBO, these cheap brake pads that it comes with, which, you know, it's okay. I mean, they lasted 960 miles. That's not bad. It's not bad. And the only reason I say they're cheap brake pads is because the new ones that I just put on are so much better. They're not cheap. Now, I went online, and you can get the originals. These little bad boys right here, okay? And you can see they're a pretty simple pad. Those they advertised on their site for, I think, $12 a pair. Okay. Now I went over to my local bike shop, and you know if you're a cyclist, the local bike shop is a little bit more expensive, but you don't have to wait for anything. You go in, you tell them what you need, you show them the old pad, and they look at you like, dude, damn. And they get you some new ones. The new pads were $27 a set, okay? Now, the difference is the metal right here. It's about 2 millimeters, 3 millimeters thicker, which I was amazed. The pads themselves, now, you know, I can't really gauge that, but the back brakes, which are only about 30% of your stopping power, and I think I have them in my drawer right here. I saved those somewhere. Oh, they're somewhere. Well, they are somewhere here. Good goodness. Oh, there they are. I found them. Okay, so you can see there's a slight thickness difference, if you can see that on camera, but not much. Okay, let's see if the other one's got a little thickness to it. Okay, yeah, a little bit more. There you go. You might be able to see that. Now, the new ones, of course, you know, pads are brand new. The metallic feature on these is better. So when you do replace your brake pads, you're going to have a better quality. Get them at the bike shop. Just go on down, bring your old pads out, and they'll get you some nice new pads. Let's step out of the shop, and we're going to go over and we're going to look at the bike, and I'm going to give you a quick tutorial as to how to adjust these as they wear. Now, it's a very simple adjustment. Right here on the handlebars, at the brake lever, you're going to see this little adjustment right here. Okay, so spin this out, okay? And you can see this little ring spins with it. So as you spin this out, it pulls the cable tight, and then I'm gonna need both hands for this, but you can kind of see. You want to hold this one tight, and then you spin this one into the brake, and it stops it right there. It makes it so it locks it in. So these are brand new brake pads, so they're all tight and locked in, so there's room for adjustment. Now, this will adjust way out, okay? Way out, okay? And if you run out of room there and you still have some brake pad, amazingly, you can actually do it down here on right there. That'll adjust out too. You can back that out just a wee bit too, and it'll give you a little more tension. However, here's the issue. Once they wear, it's like car brakes, okay? Now these are cable pull, they're not hydraulic. Hydraulic would be a little different. It's got a piston, it's driven with the hydraulic, but it's also cable driven, so you know, you're gonna get that. Some real high-end bikes have the cylinder, the reservoir up on the brakes. That's a whole different realm, but it's the same thing. You're just doing brake pads. So let's pull you to the rear brake here because it's a little easier to view. And we're gonna show you. Now, remember I said that if it's brand new, your cables are gonna need some adjustment. So as you can see, this is originally where it was, okay? That's when it came to me brand new on Christmas. And over the course of time, I had to adjust that out just that wee bit, okay? So what's that? About maybe a ½ an inch of cable stretch, okay? And then once you get that adjusted out, your new brakes, which you can see in there, the disc and the brakes, you can see just the little gaps. Now, the thing with disc brakes is that this one brake just stays put. This brake pad actually is the one that pulls, and you can see there's movement right there, and it just squeezes that disc. So on car brakes, both pistons are going to, you know, come in and, you know, grab both sides. This on disc brakes on bikes, for the most part, you're just pulling that one side closed and it's squeezing the disc into the other pad. So to replace these, it's very simple. This cotter pin, you just push those out, make them straight, pull that out. These just pull right out, okay? And you slide the new pads in. But key point, you made a lot of adjustments on that cable. So what you want to do is make sure that you have that cable and both top and bottom, if you've gone that far, and you adjust them all the way back in. And then those new pads will slide right in. You put a new cotter pin in. You bend the ends, otherwise it's just going to fall right back out and your brake pads aren't going to do anything for you. And you're going to be going down a hill wishing for instant death. So, after 960 miles, which I think is phenomenal for such a heavy bike and, you know, for a daily use, I have new brake pads front and rear. Now you say, well, you know, why do both? Do both. Because that way you know you have good brakes both. Because what happened, and this can happen on a car too, if you have a brake pad that is worn down to the point where you're just rubbing metal to metal, the pistons are all the way out, and so there's nothing for them to grab, and your brake pedal goes straight to the floor. That's a scary thing. Well, what happened on my front brake was basically I squeezed the front brake handle, and it went all the way in, and I heard this click noise because what happens is there's a little spring inside the mechanism right here, okay? Now, I left the little rubber piece out just so you guys might be able to see that. There's a little spring in there, and there's a hole in the top, and then there's a hole in the cantilever right here, and what that does is it makes the brake handle and the brakes return, okay? Well, that came out of the hole, and that actually popped the thing, and the brake was rendered useless. And thank goodness we have two brakes on a bike, otherwise, you know, and an emergency stop in particular, man, that's scary. But you have the back brake, but the back brake, you know, back brakes are more for drag than stopping power. You got 70% of your stopping power up front. So, I hope this was handy. I hope this made your braking a little bit better. It's not hard to do your own work. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to refer you to somebody. There's a great YouTube channel. Guy's name is Andy Quant. He does what he wants. He is the bike farmer. The guy's back in Wisconsin. Fantastic, fantastic bike shop owner and repair guy. Now, he'll tell you a lot of different things, and he rants and raves, and you can agree to disagree with the man, but man, tune into the Bike Farmer. The guy knows what he's talking about. He can talk you through just about anything. Basically, he does restoration of older bikes, quality bikes, and resells them. He's a used bike shop. He does do new stuff. He can get any kind of parts. He can do any kind of repairs. But man, I'll tell you what, you want to watch a cranky bike shop owner, and he'll admit to it. He'll admit to it. But the guy knows what he's talking about. So if you ever need any bike repair and you don't know what you're doing, tune in to Andy Quant, because he does what he wants, the bike farmer. If you all like this video, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe. Love y'all. Peace.